I'm Craig, and this is.
Ryan here as always.
Yeah, so you might be listening to this on podcast, or you could be watching it on video. Welcome to the show again, or welcome for the first time. This is
You
just
could
us
do
two today.
both. You could watch this on YouTube and listen to it on podcast, and it would be like in stereo coming from multi channels, and it'd be like we're in 3D.
Our
Yeah, and
work
you
phone.
start each one of our videos, the previous chats. If you start them at the 3 minute mark of the Wizard of Oz, it'll all like there's a certain part that'll line up when the Tin Man gets. Well, you'll have to see for yourself. Just try
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Should we tell them about playing it backwards too, or not? Not maybe next week. Next week we'll talk about next episode.
Well, only if you want to open the portal to Narnia.
I used to love that show as a kid. Jesus Christ, I love that show. Would you like to start, Ray? Or
Sure. Yeah, I got the zine in the mail today in this cute little envelope packaging. It came from Works at Dawn. I have a hard time saying their name. I shouldn't, but I Works at Dawn. It's called Clover Flowers and Wild Strawberries. They sent me two copies because they say that the one had a little bit of a misprint. So I'm gonna give one of these away to somebody. In fact, maybe I'll give it away to one of our YouTube followers. So comment below, and we will pick one of you at random to send one of these zines to. But so it's really cool in here. I haven't actually read it; it just came today, but I really liked the look of it, which is why I bought it. And I purchased this on Etsy because I do go from time to time and just buy random zines, especially from new zinesters, to see what's out there. But they sent me this really lovely note, and I hope this doesn't embarrass them. But I'm gonna read a little bit of the note that they sent here. It says, "Hi Ryan, I can't believe you bought a zine for me before I could buy one from you. It's the first zine I ever shipped out. Thank you for believing in me." Man, that makes me feel so cool. Like it makes me feel
mm,
so good that I was able to give them that moment. You know what I mean? And they sent me zines, and now I get to pass one of these on to somebody else. So once again, it comes back to community, right? Like sharing and being a part of this. I sound like a lamoid, but whatever. I love what we do.
yeah, yeah. I think being part of the community or being involved in the community is really a cool thing. I think that is something special about the zine community. I think because a lot of it is zines are just often physical stuff. So it's it's a lot of mailing. It's a lot of just chatting. We're using we use the social media to try to kind of connect and share. But when it comes down to it, we're sending people stuff and notes. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I love the notes. I love the notes that you get. Everyone gets.
We get. Before I forget, just since I've got their zine in my hand, since I was showing it off and saying how wonderful it is, there's the back cover of it. So their Etsy is etsy.com CA shop Works at Dawn. So yeah, go check their stuff out. I think it looks really cool. That's why I bought it. But yeah,
Mm,
that gets sent. I mean, I always send a handwritten note to people. Usually it's very generic of thanks for checking out my zines and I appreciate the support and et cetera, et cetera. And sometimes like if it's a trade, if I'm doing a zine trade, like I've been known to write a novel, a handwritten novel sometimes to people to gush over the love and affection.
yeah. Yeah, I like writing a little bit of a note too. Sometimes I had a bigger zine that I was sending for a little while, and I didn't want it to get folded, so I would put a bit of cardboard in there. So so I thought, well, I have this spare piece of card that I can now draw all over or carry on about. So yeah, I think handwritten
Okay.
notes are cool. Actually, this is a bag of different notes and stuff that I've actually been sent over the last couple of years. Um, that come along with the zines, cards, and uh, yeah, always a little bit of a note on the back. I love it. I love it. I think that's one of the an extra part.
That one?
What's that? Oh,
You
that's my
sent me
letter.
that.
That's my yeah, but that was
That's
that
your
was actually my zine, wasn't it?
I don't get a lot of big zines. Look at these are like the large size zines that get sent to me, and I don't have a whole lot of these. So if you make large size zines, send them to me because I don't have a lot. I don't, look at that's cool.
And we're going to talk about large. Okay, let me. I'll show you one of my favorite large zines. In our unscripted conversation.
This is totally unscripted. This was not what we planned on talking about. Positive Creed, while he's off, Positive Creed makes cool zines. So irregular, like this is huge size. Loving it. I'm so glad I bought this one. I must confess, I still believe a Britney Spears fanzine. when I was like 18, I had a poster of Britney Spears on my wall. How cool is that?
So I don't want to really say my favorite, which is it's not, but one of the cool, very very cool zine that I got was this zine. It's a photography zine. It's called B and L. I don't remember I think B and L. BXL Street Fishers. So it's on newspaper, newsprint. It's roughly what kind of size? Kind of like A3 size to a degree, but it's obviously it's like just like a newspaper, but it's a photo zine, and it's so cool. Like I absolutely I love like the newsprint, the newspaper.
Yeah, and that looks good too. Because sometimes with newsprint, like if the plates aren't aligned, like you'll get really messy. But that even on video, I can tell that looks really good.
Yeah, the quality is, it's the quality of photo is absolutely beautiful. But I'm just a massive fan of this. I got this years ago, and I made a video of it. If you on Instagram and you're on my Instagram anytime, if you kind of scroll down a few years, you'll find a video review of it. And I just there's a lot of zines that I love that I have, and that's one that it's a little bit unusual. Not many people are making on newsprint. I know there's a couple of comics that are around at the moment. Scarf Comics, I think that Rich is into. They do on newsprint. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, they look great. Scarf Comics are great. They sent me a few about a year ago. I think that's another. Yeah, that's another one right there. I love the blue.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason that I actually I was just talking about it, but the reason I made like one of a big zine, like this is
that's what I was thinking.
A3, but A4 folded side stitch zine. But I love the idea of big zines too. Like I think it's there's not a lot around. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be a lot around. One thing none of that I plan to talk about, but one thing I did plan to talk about is a few weeks ago I got in contact with a zine maker here in Japan. I think he's American. He's American. And he makes a zine called Huckleberry Zine. There's a little collective here actually in Japan, a little kind of zine collective that's called Cry in Public. I met the creator, the organizer or the person who started it a few years back, actually, kind of really randomly. Went to a zine meetup, and they were like, oh, I kind of have this thing called Cry in Public. And then a few years later now, it kind of actually makes sense. Like they run a little bit of a zine. They run kind of like a zine fest or something like that. I'm not sure exactly of all the details, but anyway, so I got in contact or made contact with this zine maker, and recently they sent me some of their back issues, issue number 1. And I know you probably don't know who this guy is, Ryan, because you're not into the music, but he has an interview with Ian MacKaye, which anyone who listens to punk rock would know who this guy is. Obviously, the creator of Fugazi, he was in Minor Threat. Basically started the whole vegan straight edge punk movement. I think debatable. I think, and but anyway,
are you assuming that because I have that Britney Spears fanzine that I don't like punk music?
No, I think I know that you don't listen to. No,
hard time.
No, I know that you don't listen to punk, and this, Fugazi are massive in the punk world, but outside of punk, nobody knows who this band is. And the reason I think this guy's really cool, he started a record label called Discord Records, and their kind of philosophy is to keep everything cheap, keep it, next to nothing, and when he was in Fugazi, the most they would charge is $5 per show. It was always affordable. And they don't make t-shirts. The band, they don't want to be part of the whole consumerism. So anyway, back to the zine. So this is issue 1, and this is I'm not sure exactly when this was printed, but it's a few years old, maybe let's say five or six. And he got the interview with this guy by sending him a letter. Now Ian MacKaye is probably busy, pretty famous in the kind of the world of punk rock, and he sent him a letter. On the back was kind of just, it was a scrap paper. It wasn't even just fresh, A4 paper, but it was fresh paper, scrap paper, and he sent him the questions, and then Ian wrote the answers out and sent him back to him, and it printed in issue 1. So I think that's really, really cool.
That is cool, and it's inspiring too in a way, because like sometimes when I'm making a Pocket Thoughts zine, like, oh, what am I going to put on this page? What am I going to do for this one? Because mine get pretty random, right? And that's super inspiring that maybe I'll start interviewing some people. It's something I've never really done. Some folks have asked me to interview them for my zine, and I'm like, nah, I don't really interview bands. Like that's just not what I do. But I think it might be cool to interview some zine makers for Pocket Thoughts. Because I'm already doing it with you here. It'd just be cool to have it in print as well.
I was thinking that as you were saying that, I'm like, well, that's we do that on here all, not weekly, but monthly we do that.
You're making me look like a fool. Here I am going, man, wouldn't it be cool if we could interview zine makers, and you're sitting there going, it's fucking what we do. It's fucking what we do.
But for the last 2.5 years, we've been doing that. But I know what you mean. Actually, a while back, I wanted to put out a zine that was that wasn't all interviews, but it had interview with other people. There's a bookshop over in London, and it's called just Books. It's Peckham Books, and it's in this area called Peckham, and it's just like a secondhand bookstore. And he's also involved in the zine community, and I reached out and I said, look, I'd love to interview you for a zine one day. Like, yeah, cool, anytime. And never got around to it, but I think it'd be cool. I think maybe we could do a behind the zines zine instead of just.
Yes. I've been interviewed. People have interviewed me. Sometimes I'm not sure what it's for. I was interviewed by a student in Germany about 6-8 months ago. They were writing a paper on zines, and they had a Skype or a Zoom call with me to ask me about my wealth of knowledge that I'd make up on the spot about zines and zine culture. But it was kind of cool, because much like you and I do, it turned into a 2-hour conversation, and at the end I was like, well, I hope there's something in there you can use.
Yeah, I've done a few. I've done a couple as well. One was maybe a couple, maybe 2 or 3 or something, was kind of just written questions, which makes it more work for me because it's a bit harder than just talking. But it was one was for something similar, some kind of paper thing, or for a presentation, a uni presentation or something. And then another one was, of course, someone we interviewed, Weirdo
Brigade.
Yes, I did one for them as well. Yes.
Yeah.
And also I did actually someone I want to get on this show. The guy who does Yelling at Concrete. Do you know that podcast?
Brandon.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been chatting with Graham recently. He was asking me to be a guest on his show, and of course, Eager Beaver Ryan's like messaging him on the next day. So when did you want to do that? He's like, settle down, and I'm like, but now.
I was kind of similar, and he's like, yeah. So how about like he said December, and it was like three months away. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, I guess so. Like,
but the thing, like Graham, he posted on Instagram recently something about can everyone take a minute to just like write a one-line review or a two-word review or whatever.
yeah.
And I said something along the lines of like, deep but still playfully
Mm.
deep or whatever. Because he's got such a cool podcast show. Like he's super interesting to begin with, and his guests
Yeah.
are really interesting. You were a guest on his show. I
Yeah.
watched that one, the one with Crash Reynolds, because I'm a fan of her and she's a good friend. And just like he's he's super mindful and in the moment when he talks and asks his questions, and it makes, like, I find that as a listener I'm just like leaning in as he's
Mm.
talking, and I'm like, man, this guy's good.
I enjoyed the chat that I had with him, and I think I told him, and maybe it's on the show, but I like the way he thinks because he thinks differently to me, or so he has like this problem, and the way I would think about the problem to solve that problem is different to the way that he would think about to solve the problem, which makes it really interesting for me. I'm like, I've never really thought of it that way, and not that, and sometimes not that it's better or worse or anything like that, and I just like that it's, I don't know, it's kind of a different way of thinking about something that I don't, the way that I don't think about it. And I think the the reason I enjoy it is because he kind of talks through his thought process, whereas someone would go, I had this problem and I came up with this solution, and you're like, okay, that's a good solution, but
Yeah.
he talks through this thought process, which makes you kind of get to know them a little bit differently. Or
Well, to get back to the point of like having an interview in a zine, like if anyone out there listening wants to do something like that, so there is multiple ways to do it. You can literally sit down with someone and interview them, which happened to me once. I was interviewed in a coffee shop for something. Or you can do what they did there for Ian, where you send them some questions and have them answer it, and or you can do what we do on video chat, and then you
transcribe or something like that.
transcribe.
Transcribe or
And
yeah,
so
I did
there's many ways to do it. The only thing I caution with the one with like sending people questions and having them answer it is sometimes you lose the kind of rhythm. If it's just a question and answer, then yeah, it's easy to read, but you lose that flow of the conversation. I remember one person once wanted to do an interview and stuff came up and we couldn't do it, so they just sent me the questions to answer. And then when they sent me a copy of the zine, I read back the interview. I was like, oh, they just literally copied and pasted everything, including my spelling mistakes. Like they they didn't even they didn't really take the time to edit this and you know. So to me, it was like put the time in. That's all. And if anybody wants to interview Craig, his telephone number is 1-722-846-99-879-22-555.
yes, plus the area code.
Yes, which is 7922555.
Yeah. Just call me anytime. Just call.
Oh, anytime.
The reason we decided to do this and kind of chat for 20 minutes aimlessly is because we want to try and get them regular. Also for us, it's hard with guests. We've talked about this kind of slightly in the past. It's hard already, us two being in two different time zones. Having a third time zone in the mix is really difficult. But we still try.
Sometimes it's just fun to show off the zines that we're getting. I mean, we both of us do this on Instagram anyway, but it's also fun to do it together. And hey, this is what I got him, need him, got him, sort of thing. We put a call out on one of the Instagram posts recently about tag some zinesters that you'd like to see us interview. We've reached out to several of them already, and so they're coming up in the pipeline. And as always, if you want to be featured on the show, don't be shy. Send us a message. We love showing it. We love doing this to get your stuff out there.
I think that's the main thing too. Like if you want to jump on, like we're happy to chat with you. Like,
and especially if you've got like a new zine that you're working on that's almost done and you're super excited about it and you want us to talk about it, like, yeah, let's get you on so you can talk about and share your passion, because that's what this is all about. Get it out of the community.
If you're out there looking for, if you want to do some interviews and you're like, well, maybe we could chat with Ryan and Craig and put a bit of a call out about a zine that you want to do some call outs. We're happy to help you try to promote anything almost anything within reason that you want to promote. Yeah, let's do it. So until next time, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Craig. And thank you, everyone.
Definitely. And we'll see you next time. Bye.